The Life Coaching Toolbox Podcast is brought to you by Joeel and Natalie Rivera of Transformation Academy. In this episode, Natalie talks about how to stop negative emotional momentum. This episode is one of 11 episodes in a series about coaching your clients to develop emotional intelligence and master their emotions.
Now let's talk about momentum, what it means when it comes to your emotions, and why it's so important to understand how momentum works. So momentum is energy that builds, that pulls you towards the thing that you were already going towards. So an object in motion tends to go in motion. And when you're gaining momentum, if you're picking up speed, if you're rolling down a hill, you're going to pick up more and more momentum, more velocity, more speed. And so that's momentum. And momentum also happens in our emotions and in our lives. So let me explain. My favorite analogy when it comes to momentum is thinking about taking a car to the top of a hill, putting it in neutral, and just giving it a gentle nudge. And so if you think about if you've ever seen pictures or visited the city of San Francisco, everything's a huge hill. So imagine that there's this huge hill, and at the bottom, there's San Francisco Bay. So you're up at the top, you put the car in neutral, you give it a gentle nudge, and at first, just slowly starts to roll. But as it goes down the hill, it starts to roll faster and faster and faster and faster until it's going out of control. And down at the bottom of the hill, there's nothing that could stop it, but it's going so fast. And so that is exactly what happens with emotions and thoughts. The more that they grow in intensity, the more momentum they have and the harder they are to stop. And so just imagine if you had just pushed the car a little bit and you decided, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I want to stop it. You could probably just jump right out in front of it. It's going to bump up against you and it would be done. Or it might take you and a few people to kind of just pull it to a stop. But once it gets going, like down at the bottom of the hill, if you tried to stop it at that point, it's going to run you over, flattened. And so again, the same thing happens with your emotions. And so momentum, when it comes to emotions, is intensity. So the more intensely you feel something, the more momentum it has, and the harder it is to get out of it. And so the question is, what do I do with a low-level momentum emotion? The trick is, just like I mentioned with the car, you want to get out of it early. You want to stop it right when it starts. As soon as you notice this low-level emotional state, such as uncertainty, it's not that strong, it's more of an irritation. At that point, you can use your own thoughts to redirect your focus, or you can literally go and do something else and get yourself out of that state. That is ideal. That is what this course is designed to do, is give you tools to help you stop it before it starts. However, you find yourself in a medium level momentum, such as anxiety, where it's a little bit more real, a little bit more intense. You're more intensely focused on it. You're moving faster. Your thoughts are moving faster. Just like the car, you've got some speed going. So if you really wanted to stop it, it would take something more drastic. So if it was a car and it had no brakes in it, what could you do? The only thing that might slow it down is if, a car pulls out in front of it and it slams into it. That would probably stop it. Or maybe you could just drop a humongous boulder on it. But aside from that, it's going to keep going. So it takes something more extreme to stop it. And if this is you emotionally, it's going to beat up on you a bit more when you go to try to stop, because you have more momentum. So it's going to be harder. Like part of you is almost going to feel like you want to keep feeling bad because you've already got that going. And the brain rewards you to continue doing what is already comfortable. So you might already be comfortable with feeling anxious or stressed out, but you can stop it. And so rather than, having a car pull out in front of you or dropping a boulder on yourself, emotionally, things that can help you to stop that momentum are to go for a walk. Put on your favorite inspirational music or audiobook program. Talk to somebody that every time you talk to them, it lifts your spirits. Take a bath. Take a nap. Ask yourself what you can do that helps you relax and unwind, and most importantly, distracts you from whatever it is that you were doing or thinking that was getting you in that emotional state in the first time. But a lot of times when you're in that medium level of emotional state momentum, you're going to need to do something physically different to be able to snap yourself out of it. You might even be able to do physical activities like some of the things that we've talked about before that just snap you out of it. But at this point, a simple thought isn't going to do it for you. You can't just say, I'm not going to think about this thought that I'm thinking. If I tell you, do not think about a pink elephant, whatever you do, don't. Stop it. Stop. I know you have a pink elephant in your mind. It's because you can't tell yourself not to think about something once it's already going. The only thing that you could do is distract yourself from it. And in this case, if you're feeling it really strongly, like say you were really freaked out by the pink elephant, you have to just go do something else. You have to get away from it. That is exactly why everything that we do here in this program is to help you figure out ways to stop it before it gets too bad. And so when you're at this medium state, you still have a really good chance of slowing things down and stopping that momentum. So you have the choice to feel something differently. And so then what happens when you have a high momentum emotion, such as fear? This is when the car is down at the bottom of the hill. It's going really, really fast. What do you do? And so you have two choices. One is that you need to slow it down one way or another. And so instead of thinking of the car example, think instead of a train. So if you have a train that's going really fast one direction towards fear, and what you want is to be going the other direction towards feeling better and ultimately towards joy and happiness, you cannot turn that train around on a dime. Trains go down a track this way and then they come back this way. So you cannot just stop the train and start going the other direction. It's impossible. If you tried to do that to a train, the train would actually buckle under the pressure, and chances are it would fall off the track. And so it's not that much different if you try to do that to yourself. The contents inside the train are going to get obliterated if you do that. And so emotionally, that means you. So you cannot beat up on yourself by telling yourself you're supposed to feel fantastic and happy and glorious when you feel terrible, because you can't get all the way to feeling great when you're feeling terrible. It's impossible. You have to do it incrementally. And so with the train, you have to slow it down. You have to put on the brakes. You could put objects in front of it to stop it from continuing forward. You can emotionally use the technologies that we've been talking about. They help slow you down. You can remove the thing from your life that is triggering you. There are many, many tools, but you need to use them to slow that momentum, to get into a place where you have more of a choice. The good news is that time is on your side, because with emotions, if you stop feeding them, eventually they do slow down on their own. And so that brings me to the second option. And that is, sometimes you just have to hold on and wait for it to be over, because you've gotten yourself too strongly in a certain direction that you're not going to be able to really stop yourself. And so in this situation, it's about damage control. Again, removing yourself if you need to, letting it go. Try all the other things that we talked about, but just know that sometimes it's okay just to let time take its course, because it will pass. It will dissipate on its own. And then once you have either slowed it down intentionally by using different technologies and tools and taking a break and getting away from it, or time just allows it to dissipate, once you are feeling more calm, once your momentum has slowed, that is when you can start building new momentum in the other direction. That's when the train has any opportunity to reverse itself back to where it wants to go. Because beforehand, it had too much momentum. But once it's slowed, then you can start moving. It's the same thing for your emotions. So once you find yourself recovered from this unpleasant emotional experience, that's when you want to practice your affirmations. That's when you want to be thinking thoughts that make you feel good. That's when you want to be taking action to make changes that are going to make your life better. You don't want to be trying to do those things in the midst of a really strong, powerful emotion with a lot of momentum, because you're not going to be able to get there. One little step at a time. So I hope having those visuals helps you understand what's going on. Sometimes when you feel that your emotions are so strong that you can't stop them. And I hope you understand that it's perfectly normal and that you can do many things to slow your momentum, but don't put false expectations on yourself to think you're just going to be able to stop it, because not only would stopping it on a dime actually be painful, but it's not possible and it's not necessary, because having emotions is perfectly normal. And you're doing the right thing by learning different tools to be able to slow your momentum and then rebuild momentum in the direction that you want to go.
Visit transformationacademy.com/toolbox to download free life coaching worksheets that go with the activities discussed in this podcast, plus other resources for creating a thriving life coaching business.